What we see is every security breach costs a company more than $9 million, and that's in real costs. That's in addition to any reputational damage they have. We know that 1/3 of large companies have been hacked, and that the bad guys are going after vulnerable spots. And the thing we're clearly seeing is that as more devices get connected to the network, the more opportunity the bad guys have to go in. In the next 10 years, there'll be more than 25 billion devices on networks, especially as you see IoT growing. So you need to think about your entire network and all the endpoints and how you secure those endpoints. It's in the news everywhere, and you see security attacks or security risk or breaches on an almost daily basis. In fact, it's a more than a $450 billion industry. If it was a country, it would be one of the 25 biggest countries in the world, bigger than Belgium, bigger than Norway. And so it's a massive industry. The attacks are proliferating, and what we're really seeing is that they're going to the endpoint. While in the past you've seen man-in-the-middle attacks or software attacks, as that software layer is strengthened, the bad guys are still trying to get in. They're just looking for the weak points. I think the number one thing that IT professionals and businesses need to think about is that anything that hangs on the network is an endpoint, and any endpoint can be breached. And so while most CIOs and IT decision makers will think, well, I've got to secure my server estate, or I've got to secure my data center, or I've got to secure my PCs, there's other parts of the estate that they may not think about. Probably one of the biggest blind spots is printers. So printers are just like a PC. They have a hard drive, they have an operating system, they connect to the network, they connect to the web, they can send and receive email, so they're really a PC with gears and sprockets. But not all IT decision makers realize, in fact, the ones we surveyed, more than half don't realize that that has the same vulnerability that a PC does. We want to make sure that our customers have, secure IT systems. And so as the provider of both, computing devices and printing devices, we want to make sure they have the most secure fleets. And HP's printers and PCs are the most secure, not as security as an add-on, but security built in. At HP, we want to think about security in a holistic manner. So it's not just about securing the operating system, it's about securing above the operating system, with the operating system, and below the operating system. A couple that I would mention, one is HP SureStart. SureStart essentially is a patented technology that we use to make sure that we've got a secure BIOS. Not everybody knows, but when you boot up your PC, the BIOS is actually runs a piece of firmware, and that firmware starts the operating system. A lot of ways that the bad actors go into computing devices is actually through the BIOS. When we do a boot of that PC, we actually make sure that it's good firmware. And if it's bad firmware, we discard it, go get a known set of good firmware, and then boot with that. So we prevent the malware from infecting the system. Another one that's really simple is we have something called SureView. Essentially, we've all had the experience of being on a plane or on a train and typing on our laptop and realizing we've got somebody looking over our shoulder. HP's got a patented technology that allows you to push one button, and it creates a virtual privacy filter on your PC. So it prevents somebody from shoulder surfing or looking over, and it protects your data. Again, whether it's embedded in the PC from a BIOS perspective, or it's doing something simple like preventing somebody from looking over your shoulder and do visual hacking, HP's innovating there. The Wolf is a series of short films that we've done with Christian Slater, in that he plays the Wolf, which is essentially a hacker, and that he looks across the entire estate of a company, from the mailroom up to the boardroom. He looks for vulnerabilities, and then he hacks that.
No, there's a lot riding on this meeting. You might even say the future of both companies. I had some huge elaborate plan to worm my way into the video conference, but turns out I didn't have to. See this dude over my shoulder here? Guy who looks like he's about to wet his pants? Well, he was so nervous, he forgot to pick up the key part of the presentation right off the printer. So now, it's just sitting here, waiting for anybody with an axe to grind to pick it up and share it with someone like me. Because this bad boy doesn't have user authentication. It's easy for print jobs like these to go unclaimed. Bingo.
What's really good about that film series is in a very visceral way, as opposed to just reading, a PowerPoint presentation or seeing someone give a talk. He shows how hacking can occur and how the bad guys actually look and try to exploit those vulnerabilities, and then how you can work with HP to remedy those. So we think it's in a very visual way, in a very different way, we can communicate the challenges with security, but also how we can help solve it for customers.